Hello everyone, it's Eltinho here. If you don't know me, I'm a Brazilian card game player. I've started playing Magic back in 1996. I have played competitively from 2001 to 2012. Took a break from the game. In 2014, I learned about Hearthstone and have been playing Sand. I try to hit Legend in both Standard and Wild every month. Lately, I have been having some success with the Tip Murloc decks. I have played some big tournaments on Magic. I was twice a Nationals runner-up in 2004 and 2006. I have played some Pro Tours. I have chilling out on Hearthstone. I didn't focus on anything. I play all formats. I have all heroes with 1k wins because I like to try all the stuff that's here. But lately I have been really focused on Wild after I found the Tip Murloc decks because it was my favorite deck when I was playing Standard. And I've tried to port it to Wild but back then, but I wasn't really successful because Secret Mage was a thing and the deck didn't fare well. But after Hayab Azalura was released, I saw this by HearthstoneDecks.net by Neon31 and I fell in love because I could play Tip Murlocs again, and I have been doing that since September 2020 straight. I have been finishing on top 100 I think every month, but last month the meta kind of turned okay for the deck because the rise of APN Mage, while it's not a good matchup for this deck, it should away some bad matchups like Big Priest, which by far my worst matchup. So what I'm gonna do is go about how I built this deck, and I think it's very underrated. I picked it free, but I finished 4th in North America last season. So I think it is a good deck. It can compete. I have 153 wins with the deck and 95 losses, which leaves it a 6-1 win rate. Most of those games were on Legend ranked, on top 200. I am 45-24 against Warlock, 30-19 against Mage, and 38-29 versus Paladins, and 15-8 versus Priest, which are the biggest class on this meta. I like to divide the cards in 3 categories. First I call the key cards, then the main cards, and then the secondary cards. The key cards are those cards that you cannot go without. If I say this is a key card for this deck, and you said, oh, why can I replace this? You cannot replace this. If you don't have the key card, better find something else. Think about Raza Priest. Anduin and Raza are key cards. You cannot replace them. So you don't have them, and if you don't want or you can't craft them, you should find another deck. And for this deck, Tip the Scales is the card that makes a deck. And from this card is where I took the name of this channel and the name I use for the deck. Because you see, Tip the Scales, it's a pun, like anything can happen, everything is awesome, nothing can stop us, and they love those Morlock puns. And this one didn't translate well in Portuguese. So what the localization team made, they picked a song that's from a famous singer, Brazilian singer called Fagner, and his song is actually called Borbulhas de Amor. It's love bubbles, but everyone knows the song as Quem dera ter peixe, which means I wish I was a fish. And they translated Tip the Scales as Quem me dera ter peixe. I wish I had a fish. So they made a pun with this song, and so because that, I've called the deck Fagner. They have Murlocs, it's in water, so I went Fagner Blues. That's why the channel is named the Fagner Blues. So you have Tip the Scales, which costs 8 mana, but 8 mana is not usually where you want to be in Wild. So you have Prismatic Lens, which make you cheat the cost for Tip the Scales. What do you want for those Murlocs? There's actually 2 ways to build Tip Murlocs. One is the OTK, which uses anything can happen and only chargers and buffers, like Old Merc Eye, Bluegill Warrior, Murloc War Leader, and things like that to go face, and anything can happen for a second or third run. But the problem for me with this deck is because you have anything in tip plus lens, you risk missing a lens, hitting anything when you want to hit the scales, and missing it's game ending. So I'm not kind of that. I prefer this version. This version is more aggro oriented, so I call it aggro combo because there are games where you can win by aggression, straight aggression. You win most of the games by high rolling the combo, but there's the option. Or in the aggro part of the deck also can stall when you don't find an early lands, and sometimes you can stall the games up to 7 or 8 mana crystals when you cast it at Tip the Scales. So, and there was another card that was key for this deck, which is Hayabusa Allura. Right now I'm not running her. I used to run even after the nerf, just to have extra redundancy. But right now I'm skipping her because I think that the meta has got a bit too fast. So I'll say what I'm using when I get to the secondary cards. But I digress. Let's go. What I think are the key cards for the combo are Bluegill Warriors, Murloc War Leader, and Old Merc Eye. Here, this is your key cards. This is what you can go without. There is no asking, can I? No, you cannot. You have to have those cards if you want to go with this deck. I know it's a kind of expensive deck when you get to the end because there are many epics. I think it's the deck that I run that has the most purple cards, but I think it's super fun. So if you want to give it a shot, I think you do okay. After that, we after the key cards, we have the main card. I said those you can replace. That's not crucial to the strategy, but I wouldn't recommend. I would recommend against it because they are very important. So let's go over them. The first now is Crab Rider, everyone's favorite 1/4 rusher, maybe 1/3. I think the nerf is incoming, but Crab Rider is awesome because it's everyone knows how good it is. It works as a great tool for early game board control. It gets buffed. After Tip Scales, it can deal with a lot of things. So it's a good card overall. And another card that's working very nice is the new Lush Water Scout, because it can make a Tip the Scales a full board clear. Sometimes you can play a scout before. Most times it just gets grabbed from the Tip of the Scales, and if you and then you need some luck for positioning. If the Lushwater Scout is the first one that comes out, all next Murlocs will have rush, and so they can deal with almost any board. After those two, I really like running Sir Finley and Vilefin Inquisitors. Those are good early drop Murlocs. The 1/3 body is very good to hold the fort in the first turn, and their battle cries also are relevant. Vilefin works wonderful with Lushwater Scout. You turn your hero power into a Shaman Galakrond hero power, summoning 2/1s with Rush. And Finley can also find good hero powers. Either the Demon Hunter, which is good for early trades, the Hunter to push extra damage, and the Warlock for find pieces of your combo. And last Murloc that I consider main is mrglglging, which is a great early body, and sometimes it can act as a late game bomb when you withdraw him after 8 mana. But usually the prime gets pulled from the Tip the Scales. But anyway, when you're filling your board a 6/3, it's with Divine Shield works okay. So those are cards I consider main cards. And there's Hydrologist. Hydrologist, if you're running Allura, it's a great card. And even without her, I think Hydrologist is worth a slot because Secret Mage is a thing, foAwA is a thing, and since you run just 2 little spells, sometimes you need something to proc their counter spells so you don't get completely busted when by that secret. And the secrets are relevant. There are so many good ones. foAwA and Never Surrender are really good versus control. Avenge is a great all-around secret. Reckoning, the new one, is actually very good at killing giants from Dark Lairs or buffed minions from hand buff paladins. So there are uses. I think that it's a good card overall. So this 19 cards is what I call the main cards. After here, we have cards that you can argue more if you can cut or not. The first one here, it's Gentle Megasaur. Gentle Megasaur, it's very good in this deck. You don't have buffs like Shaman Murloc has with Nothing Can Stop Us or Everything is Awesome, but the Megasaur, it's great at finishing games. It's usually most of the wins you have when you're not tipping the scales is because you played a good 1-2-3 curve into Megasaur. But it's good just for some tempo plays with just one Murloc when you're trying to gain time to buying time for tip the scales. It's a good card overall. I wouldn't recommend cutting it. I have success with 2. And the other one is Circus Amalgam. Just before Dark Moon Fairy, I was I complained a lot on Twitter that there was no Taunt Murlocs, and it was something that was a problem because many times you against aggro, especially back then when aggro druid was a thing, you would tip the scales and then would just die on the returning turn because they had so much power, and you just ignore your board and went face. So having a taunt that you can pull from tip the scales actually is very good. One thing that happened sometimes is that I got Circus Amalgam so buffed after tip the scales that my opponent forgot about played Samaru for a board kill, but couldn't get friends to trigger because they had to attack the Amalgam, and the Samaru wasn't buffed enough to survive the combat, so it would die and wouldn't frenzy. Other cards that I liked on this deck as secondary, but I'm running right now, Mermy. I'm actually running Mermaids on the this time because I was using before Allura and Wandmaker, because Wandmaker and Hydrologists are ways to trigger Allura when you out of the coin. But I was in need to fight earlier boards and to lower my curve, so I went for Mermaids. They work nice versus Darkler, trading their early minions so you can have some time, and it works nicely with the scouts as well, but it's a liability against the file. But since I'm seeing less the files lately, I think it's worth running Mermaids. Uh, I, the other card that I like a lot is Underlight Angling Rod. I don't like running less than 2. I've run one for a while back then, but it's a really good card in the deck. It fills so many holes. You have a 43 drops, so it's a card. It can go there. It it does face damage, which sometimes you need to finish some opponents. It's board control and it's card advantage. And unlike other decks, the type of the card is actually it's actually relevant. So there are times when you fetch some good class Murlocs like the Shaman ones, uh, the Angler, the big one, the 4/4. I can never remember its name. It, it has good pulls, and it's a card I wouldn't run without. And these last 3 slots here, I'm currently running. Let me change here. I'm running far watch posts. That was the first change I made to the deck to fight the APN Menace, because it was before the nerf, but I continue using them after the nerf, and I think that it's still a good card. I think people are missing on playing it because it's not only good against mages, but it's very good against warlocks. Before I was running this post, my matchup spread against warlocks even was kind of even. I was splitting even with a dark lair, and I had a bad matchup versus the control versions. But Firewatch Post had tilted the matchup on my way, so I'm still running it, and I think it's a good card overall. And the other card that I'm running here is Neophyte, Cultist Neophyte. I start with 2, but now I'm running just 1. But if the mage population start to rise again, you can go back to 2 and can even run Lothab. My first list with this deck, I run like this: two Neophytes, 2 Watch Posts, and 1 Lothab. But eventually I was cutting them, so I just run these 3 cards because of this meta. But these are flex slots. For this list, I consider Mermaids, Neophyte, Watch Posts, one of the Angling Rods, and maybe Surge's Amalgam to be flex spots where you can change for other things. I wouldn't recommend cut Hydrologist because Secret Mage is a thing, and you can almost never win versus Secret Mage unless you have Hydrologist. So other cards that have been I used before and can be used are Fish Flyer. It's a good card, but now that you have Lushfire Scout, it's not as necessary as it was before. You have also the 3/1 rush, but I don't think it's worth it. You have you can run another 1-drop Murlocs like Greenscale, Oracle, or Tidecaller, but Tidecaller used to be a very important card before, but now it's the 2 health. I don't think it's worth but it's good against priest, but not so much. But so I decided to cut. The same thing for Greenscale Oracle. It's a good pull on Tip the Scales, but an awful one when you draw it early, so I cut. Rock Pool Hunter, yes. I used to run my early versions. It's good when you can hit in on a 1-drop, but I don't run that many 1-drops, so I eventually cut him. What else? Toxfin is I run for a while when I was trying to deal with druids and big priests when there were more of those. And Biofin Tidehunter was one card I run before Circus Amalgam exists, just for the taunt, but I don't think it's worth. And yeah, I I think that's it. There are what other flex slots, other options like Broomstick and Barov. I run it for a while, but I wasn't finding it really needed, so I cut it. And that's it. Well, I hope that you have enjoyed this video. I'll try to make more posts. I'll focus on wild for the first ones, but I like to delve on all aspects of Hearthstone. So that's one thing I'll try to do. So please subscribe to my channel, and if you enjoyed, please like this one, and let's keep more gurgling. See ya.